that
Double
means
it up.
it's time to talk. Hello, everybody. Hello, talkers. That's what we are calling you guys at home now, talkers. How do you feel about the name, guys? Has anyone commented yet? Or are we still waiting to see how they feel about our beloved name that we've given them?
I think they were talking very quickly.
Yes.
No, the worst thing is to be called hi guys and
Yeah, we're trying to be different. No, hi guys.
Followers.
Yes. So thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Let's Talk. Today we are talking about something that I think a lot of us can relate to. It is social media generally, but the reason we're speaking about it is because of the Netflix documentary that's just come out, which is The Social Dilemma. So we're going to be talking about our own personal social dilemmas and we're going to be talking about what we thought of the Netflix documentary. So we all watched it. I think you were the last one to watch.
Yeah, it took me about 3 tries
Yes,
during
it
the
is
whole
long.
thing.
So what did you think generally of the documentary?
Well, the beginning was great 3 times. No, I'm joking. From my side, for me, I'm going to be a little bit of a fence sitter again. Even though the statistics and sort of the testimonies from the engineers and the co-founders and the CEOs were so impactful for me. But for me, I'm a person that looks at your own responsibility and seeing that a tool that was really, really put on the planet for something good that's been twisted and turned for personal gain. So for me, it's about the accountability side. How do we look at social media in a more positive manner? And for me, my main question was, if the stats are so impactful and that is what we're saying, why are we not doing something more about it? Why are the powers that be sitting by and doing nothing? It's a very good documentary, but again, from my perspective is we need to be accountable for our own actions. If we are sitting and spending time on our phone, we need to put measures in place, and I'm sure we're going to discuss that as we go, is that putting measures in place to curb the use or really empower our children and tell them that it's not okay to sit in front of the screen, and that's a parental duty from a child's perspective. I see a lot of kids that live on their tablets or their phones, and the parents it's too easy just to leave them because it's quiet and you're busy with work and you're busy doing something that we need to be accountable. And they're not even touching on social media. For me as a person, it's my business. It's what I do on a day-to-day basis. So I can't vilify it to that extent, but it's also being responsible on how I use it on a daily basis.
Yes. Exactly, yeah. And your takes? What were your takes from the documentary?
Jins, you're saying parents must just take care of the children, but I'm thinking their parents themselves are addicted. That's how many times my children come to me or I say, guys, no screen. Meantime, I'm here. Ooh, one more picture. And when I saw the documentary and they were explaining those people, I actually saw myself, like that little mannequin standing there. I'm there. I'm like, what's next on Facebook? What's next on Instagram? Okay, Snapchat a little bit. I'm like everything, what they described. And, and they say, and I know where they said the scale is tipped like this. For me to leave it, it's a bit more higher, harder to leave it than to not. They made it so easy for you to just get onto that. So for me, it's very hard to, what am I going to do with my child? Because I'm like, no screen time.
And you're on your phone, screen time, while saying that.
Hey.
And Sammy?
Okay, for me, I think I'm not massive with my social media.
Yeah.
I'm not really one to check notifications. It can say 12.
You won't check.
It
It doesn't bother you.
20,
It will
no.
get to 12. Like the first notification.
Don't you have the need to just clear that button off?
Yeah.
No.
So when you watched the documentary, could you relate at all?
It was just informative for me. It was frightening. I think a lot of what I drew from it is how powerful social media is in how we see civilization now and how civilization is changing. And it's about us as individuals taking up the mantle to change it, because the powers that be are not going to change it. Monetary value is always going to trump everything else. So what other choice but do we have as this generation of individuals to say what do we do to change it.
Yeah.
And they gave us really amazing tools, which I think we'll chat about at the end.
Yeah.
But the biggest issues for me were how social media has impacted politics, how it's impacted civilizations, how it's has the power to cause civil war.
Yeah.
Those were the big issues for me, not so much the impact on me myself. But it has also given me tools and awareness of how it would impact my children if I allowed it.
Yes.
And the fact that techies are all saying that they don't allow their kids to have
kids
cell
to-
phones,
yeah.
and they don't allow their kids to have social media.
Yeah.
But what do you do with the peer pressure? Because then your child will be the only one without.
And I'm completely fine with that because I grew up being the only one with a lot of things in my life. And it was never my parents saying it. It was choices I personally made that were against the grain, and it was as a teenager.
Yeah.
And I survived, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I still have friends, and I have a social life, and I have a good life, and it never negatively impacted me to the extent that I need to say to my kids, give in to social pressures
Yeah.
Correct.
so that you can be popular
Yeah.
or that you can have friends. It's okay. You don't want those people in your life.
Yeah. It's in what you teach your kids. You know, so when I watched it, I think one of the things I loved most was the depiction of that little.
Yeah.
Because I was like, there's certain things, before watching the documentary, there's certain things that you would just feel like, I feel watched, I feel like I'm being listened to. Every time I have a conversation about wanting to buy new pillows, there's going to be an advert about pillows. And I've come to accept it.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah, thank you.
Vegetarian.
Yes, I've come to accept it. I've come to appreciate it. But I think about all the things that I'm not aware of that they are watching and doing the same thing, where they're feeding me information according to whatever it is I'm talking about, and I'm not aware. It's easier with an advert about pillows or going vegan, and then all of a sudden you see all this vegan content.
Recipes coming up. That's wonderful.
And you're fine with that. But what about all the other things
But
that you're
then
not
you're
aware of? That
Shaping my political awareness.
you're shaping my view of the world.
Yes.
You're shaping my view of myself. You're
Yes.
shaping my view of, and that's where I was like, it is. I realized that I didn't have the term for it before. I would just get irritated. Like, I don't like that when I talk about water, they're gonna give me water adverts.
Yes.
And then now I'm like, oh, so you are sitting there thinking,
I
give her
mean,
more.
can they hear your conversations?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
Basically, what
Because
we've
you talk
got in
about
this-
it
When you set up your phone, have you not seen that it asks you?
to voice.
to access everything.
Hi,
Your
guys.
camera, access your contacts, access your.
We are not
everything.
alone.
Your speaker. It asks for access to your speakers.
Can you imagine?
better be careful what I say there.
See, I mean, it's nice for us because we're not criminals. But the fact that
Well,
they're
I speak
shaping
a lot
our
of spice.
mindsets.
But I don't think anyone cares. You know what I mean? Like, they care about someone who's talking about bombs.
And then they start showing you more content about bombs. And that's what I don't like, that there's so many things you're not aware of that you talk about on a daily basis. And then they use your phone to shape, to reinforce all these things that we don't like. So that was my thing. I really wasn't happy with that part. I was like, okay. And then guess what I tried to do? I was like, okay, I'm not using my social media for the rest of the weekend. How long did I last?
Guys, do you
You like that kid? 20 minutes.
Yes, I was like that kid on the table. I wish I had something to lock my phone away. I was like that kid on the table where the phone was there, and the minute I put my phone away, the first notification came, and it was some nonsense about like how to lose weight in 5 days. But you can't
not
get
even
away.
life-changing,
It's
yeah.
nothing life changing. And then I started noticing that yes, everything they said there is true, and then you feel like you can do something about it, but you also feel powerless at the same time, right? So just generally with your own social media experiences, I know, Jen, you mentioned earlier on, you use it for business. So you can't really get off it. You can't not use it.
It's a part of my daily life.
Yeah.
The thing for me is it's a constructive tool, and the way the world has moved, your traditional forms of media have really fallen away. You don't get high budget TV ads anymore. Radio will always be around, thank goodness. Radio will always be a part of it, but this is a platform that everybody is using. So for me, when it comes to brands or clients or campaigns, that is my usual go-to. The other thing that concerns me, And for me, that's never going to change. The way you use it is to use it in a responsible manner. But the fact of the matter is the way marketing is going, they're going to be using these platforms. What COVID has taught us is that when you can't go in studio, you're always on your phone. You can do it. So for me, it's again, I walk a very tight rope because I can't vilify it because it's my bread and butter at the end of the day. Dealing with brands, personalities, it's what we do. What concerns me, and you touched on it now, is that we are in a different generation. We can still compare what we used to do to what is going on now.
Yes.
My biggest concern is, and it's something that really concerns me, is the mental health aspect behind it. When they looked, the thing that really troubled me, the first one was when they quoted the only two industries that call their customers users is tech and drugs. So there already we're throwing the spice, like we've really thrown the spice.
That's not even spicy, that's frightening.
That's exactly.
Scary, yeah.
So when I saw that was a very big thing for me. That was a big red flag and a warning sign. And the other thing is that I'm dealing with the 11-year-old girl that I'm really trying to keep away from social media. Sammy says you can make decisions, but I don't want to be in a position where I push her to have a secret account where there's a perpetrator or a predator. So I've got to walk that again. As a parent, I've got to walk that fine line between how much do I give to how much do I keep away. The last thing that really troubled me was the amount of suicides, the body dysmorphic disorder. Now that's a very big thing for me, is that I want to grow and nurture a child, a girl child, that is proud of her appearance. In a society where filters are king, where the best filter is where you look the best. And I've really tried my best.
Look your best. You kind of don't even look
yourself. But it's acceptable. How acceptable is it when, and I've noticed some eyes are bigger than the other, and then I'm like, whoa, did you not check that first? Like, didn't you check it before you? But the very sad thing is that our children are under such a big magnifying glass that any imperfection that they feel is magnified to the whole greater extent, which is a very scary thing for me. The suicide rate. I'm trying to raise a girl child now. I really try my best to not put filters on myself. So my way of is that when you see me, that's how I am. Just to try and level the playing field for my child. She has nothing to compare to. Screen time is a part of her everyday life. Now at school, she's on a computer 24/7. So my screen time is going to go up, but how do I teach her to be a responsible user?
I guess that's where it goes, that we must be responsible users, because I love filters. I do filters with my
Snapchat
children.
queen.
Snapchat, like we'll be doing Mickey Mouse, the funny bunnies, but then it becomes the way of life, because then they don't know anything.
Does it seem seemingly innocent?
Because it's innocent right now, but I mean, I hear what you're saying, that what happens when she starts, or even my boy starts.
How old is she?
My daughter is 9.
Okay, so she's going to get to teenage
Pretty
years.
much 10 in like 2
In
months.
2 months,
She's going to get to that age where it's going to affect her.
Because already she knows that as part of, like there's a kettle, there's a filter, there's, like food, it's part of our everyday life. So I think I need to be a bit more responsible around. I don't even know how, because it's just fun. But after watching that thing, I'm like, is it really fun?
But isn't this why we have these conversations? It's the conversations we should be having in our homes as well. It's a conversation you have around the table and you go, guys, I mean, even myself and Gareth, he was looking at ways that he could maybe minimize the screen time after watching it, because you become aware. The documentary is awareness. Now we are aware. So what do we do about it? As parents, you have the healthy conversations. Like I said to Kiana, I was like, please, when you don't have a secret, this is why I'm telling you can't have Snapchat or you can't have TikTok. I'm very passionate about human trafficking, and it's a massive tool. The thing that concerns me is that the way we invent this beautiful platform, and then what happens is somebody takes it who is of impure nature, takes it and twists it. So we're never going to run away from it. It's like what we're talking about, our health and COVID. It's not going to change. It's not going away tomorrow. As long as people are using it to advertise, it will be around forever. So how do we change?
How do we live with it? How do we change?
And we have to start changing now, because as we learned in the social dilemma, they said that the algorithm is not going to get stupider; it's going to get smarter.
But the scary thing is the algorithm does not know right or wrong. It's just an algorithm. It does what it was created to do. Guys, I kept on thinking, isn't that the Matrix? You know, like you watch the Matrix. We are exactly in the Matrix.
How do you know you're in the Matrix if you don't know you? How do you get out of the Matrix if you don't know you're in it?
So I think that the documentary was powerful for that awareness. Now we know. It's just we don't know exactly how to fix it and what to do, but now we're aware. You know, when you were talking about
They gave us a lot of how to
at
fix
the end,
it.
yeah, they tried. They tried.
Yeah.
But I think also it's very, I don't know if it will work in South Africa, those...
Why?
Because
The what?
The some of the things to fix, because we're still very much in the beginning of usage. We're encouraging it, and if it's gonna solve any problems that we have, problems of poverty and all of that, I mean, government has just made Wi-Fi available at taxi rank stations, and everybody's on Wi-Fi's, everybody's on it for business purposes, but it can now be twisted into other things. I heard a friend of mine telling me instead of business, there's also a lot of people using it for pornography now, you know. So although government is meaning well,
It's now, because now it's opened it up to fake news.
It's a massive.
Imagine if you look at what's happened in the United States around fake news and how polarized they literally are on the brink of civil war.
From fake news.
It's caused
with fake news. And Americans are so sensational, hey? They just...
that's how I think. But anyway, imagine that happening to us because people now, the masses, everybody who might not be aware of these things, who might not have access to documentaries like The Social Dilemma, who are just excited to now have exposure to it, that they, just like us when we first got it, and just absorbed it into our lives. And then we have fake political news getting out there.
I mean, look at this coronavirus thing.
I think that was evident with coronavirus because when Corona came out, there was both sides. It's a hoax. It's not real. And then there was
a huge issue of that in the US.
Yes, even here in South Africa, we were facing the same issues of it's not real. It's not real. You know. It's like just
Singing Corona songs.
Yeah, Corona songs. Still going to parties. You know. And now and then it took a while to actually get out until we started seeing people are sick, people are dying, and people took it serious near us. Yeah. So I think I mean we do have a big problem in our hands. How do we fix it? What are some of the tools that you remember them telling us how to get better with social media and be
So
less
I
addicted
disagree
to
with
it?
Nero when she says that those tools are not going to work for us in South Africa, because I think that if America had those tools back then, when they were in their initial stages, they won't be where they are now. So if we can start, if government themselves can be aware and say, okay, when we send out or when we open communities to Wi-Fi or expose them to social media platforms, whatever it may be, that we also educate on the doom and gloom stuff as well. Not just how wonderful it is, but what are the awareness issues and how do we protect you? If cell phones can start being preloaded with software that allows you to see how much, like with iPhone, but let it be an automatically turned on app that blocks your notifications. So I need to specifically go and say, I want to switch on this notification. Exactly.
Constant notifications.
Yes. I think that there's a lot of ridiculous things that request you to turn your notifications on. And sometimes you're just scrolling on your phone and you've turned on notifications for all these websites. So those are places where actually there needs to be regulated, I think. Someone needs to regulate that and step in and say, I don't need every single website I go into to request that I want a notification from it. So switching off notifications, everyone can do that. Whether you live in Kailicha or in Sandton, you can switch off your notifications if you are aware of the impact that it will have. Apps, are available. So if someone in a township is able to download Facebook, they can also download safety apps. So apps that are not just making them aware of how much time they're spending on each app, but also making them aware of what notifications to switch off, that automatically switch off notifications for you. Those were tools that were given to us to not just use Google. So then if, again, the government takes responsibility, now they've made Wi-Fi available, let's also say we don't just have Google as an option. Here we go in schools. Let's start using other platforms as well that don't save a history of your searches or throw out only what you want to hear. And if we can start teaching people from school to be more, not just open-minded, but more curious. To be aware when you've been fed the same information. And I remember us being taught to almost have a very journalistic approach to information that I feel that journalists don't even have anymore.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They take news from social media.
Fake or not.
So there's no investigative inquiry.
Or confirming the sources anymore.
Nothing,
Traditional
It's very
journalism is
sad.
dead.
But I mean, we were taught, I remember it being part of history class, look at your source, where's the information come, be critical with the information. So we need to start teaching our children those things so that they don't fall into the same trap.
But, I think what was interesting is that all these executives attended a class that at a very high up university where they taught them about behavior and technology. And for me, that was the frightening thing that even if we teach that, they've gone deeper. Like
They will
behavior.
have a new class and they will...
But for me, it was so fascinating that it was those executives who went to that class. They were like, all of us attended that class with manipulation of behavior. They're like, we knew we're manipulating. And I was like, I think we're also very blessed in South Africa. We have the Health Professions Council, and they need to look into that where, some behavior, some psychology on how we can actually...
But it's not like America doesn't have, they have the American Psychology Institute. It's the same version of HPCSA here.
But when you look at how they're using the platforms and stuff, it was all sensationalism. We are in the perfect place to effect change. If you really think about it, in South Africa, because we're in such an infant stage when it comes, we are in the perfect position. Like you said, we've got the tools in place, we've got the panels in place. We should start maybe asking the questions, looking at the psychology behind it. And again, I see it as a silver lining. They always say we're a little bit backwards. I'd rather be backwards.
In this instance,
we can affect if you look at even the way our technology is moving forward, because we haven't got massive overheads or we haven't invested so much in infrastructure, we can move to technology, teaching kids on tablets instead of having classrooms very quickly. So South Africa or Africa is in a very good place to effect proper change. And the thing is, again, it comes down to us. If we're not going to have these conversations, if we're not going to watch these things and come and sit and give, because a lot of people won't watch The Social Dilemma. We need to have these conversations so that if we planted one seed and it's created one idea and one person, and for me again, we're vilifying artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a massive tool that you can use to even identify disease in people. So what ratio, what age group, or what person is more likely to get cancer? So why are we looking and going, chuck it out? I disagree. We need to be accountable. We are grown adults, and we need to start being accountable and responsible for how we use our social media and our tech. And therefore, again, helping our children, because it's a beautiful thing. When you look at data, I can help a child in a township get an education. They can link into Stanford University. They can link in wherever they want to go. They can get a college education from a tablet. So again, for me, it's like, thank you so much for the information. I've taken it. But how do we use it to the best of our ability in our own country? And we're in the perfect position to do so. We don't have to follow America in everything. We don't have to follow the States. We are, as a country, we are far more astute, guys. The white noise, for lack of a better color, the white noise is creating is creating a diversion. If we really looked at it and we focused our attention on something like this, and all our collective heads got together and all our personalities, we could really make a change.
I think this is where diversity also comes in. In South Africa, we've got such a diverse country and with different strengths.
Yeah.
And I think if we really just come together and use those strengths in this social media, we can actually lead a lot of things.
A lot of change, yeah. And I think for me, my biggest take was also, I'm not going to trust them to make the change for us.
Yes.
I know that in the
Amen,
conversations
girl.
that they had, in the conversations that they had, they were talking about, we will try to create apps that will now, operate differently because we know that it's wrong, it was wrong. I'm not even trusting the same people that are telling us that there's something wrong because
Mark,
they
you're
created the
lying.
problem, you know? So
You're a liar, Mark. You stole it at the start off with. We can't trust you.
so at the end of the day, it's in our hands.
Yes.
It's up to us as people
up to
to
us,
watch,
right?
listen, educate your friend, your child, and the people around you. And then the only other way as well to change it, so it's us, it's what we do about it, is regulation. You mentioned regulation earlier on with fake news around COVID, because there was a lot of, they actually, I think they passed a law to say that fake news is now illegal if you spread fake during this COVID situation because it was harmful to people. So it's regulation, but it's people fighting for those laws to pass so that it can be regulated more. We're not trusting them to change it for us because they will never do that because they make money from dumbing us down and wasting our time on social media.
Also, who's responsible for regulation?
It's government.
And they benefit. They have so many benefits from not regulating. So even if they had to be organizations that start to fight, if you look even with that In Social Dilemma, that's a huge, what are they called? The humane?
Humane,
I forgot the name.
I forgot it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Bad on
that organization that's led by people
people.
who were as senior you can get in Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, all of it that have come together, and what regulations have changed in the US, and they've sat with Senate. Nothing's happened so far.
What you need to remember is it's far more beneficial, and that's why I'm saying Africa and South Africa is in the perfect position. They have managed to manipulate social media in the States. When you're looking at Facebook, the NSA is massively involved in because it helps them to spy. So there is not going to be any,
Very much so, because they're concerned about every country's access to theirs. And
yes. But what I'm saying is, when you're looking at it internally, let's look at us as a unit. Internally, we haven't got there yet to the point of using the NSA. Mark Zuckerberg's not an idiot at all. He has really progressed in a way of, you can't tell me where there's smoke, there's fire. You can't tell me he isn't involved when it comes to the NSA and what they're doing. And
that's been proven.
So that's what I'm saying. So we're looking at the head there. We're looking at ourselves and going, what we need to do is we need to now, again, force the change. If they can pass a bill on fake news during COVID, in a time where nothing was really happening, we have got at least a light at the end of the tunnel. There is somebody that's looking at it and going, fake news is a problem. They were prepared
when
to
it's a problem for government.
Still.
Fake news in COVID was a problem for government. So my argument here is, if the parties that be, political parties, start to see the benefit they can get from not regulating, how will we get it regulated? When they can see that they can benefit from monetary wise, from selling data to Russia. But if Russia suddenly found something that they wanted in our country, if another country found something that they could benefit from here in South Africa, it's not like we haven't had issues with state capture in the past. This is just another means of it. So how can we trust that it will be regulated? The best we can do is take care of ourselves as individuals.
Community involvement is important. I mean, also, I saw when this ethical guy was talking at Senate, a lot of people in government are old people.
Yeah.
They didn't understand half of the stuff he's saying.
Yes. Like, so you mean what do you do on Facebook? So you mean
I don't even understand.
It's like you don't even understand the platform. Yeah.
me.
So
Even
do they even care to change?
Mark Zuckerberg, when he, what was it? It wasn't caught. He was in
Yeah, he
front
was. He was called
the
to explain. They didn't even understand the questions.
Nobody
to ask
understood
him.
him.
Nobody.
They had to
And he
explain
used
what
that to
is
his
this
advantage.
tool.
He'll just
They didn't even know what are the right questions to ask him. I'm like, so we really gonna need a whole out of the box kind of a pandemic shock to deal with this thing. So
So I think who's going to be part of the panel, guys?
yeah, guys, we need people.
Yeah, it's a very tough conversation. And I think we can try. We know we're going to turn off our notifications. We're going to try do better. But what else can we do? What are you doing to make sure that you're not finding yourself caught up in this social dilemma? And what can we each do in our everyday lives to make sure that our kids are not manipulated by it? And also for ourselves in everyday life to just be more aware of the power of social media. So let us know. It's a tough one.
Yes.
Right? But we try to unpack it as best as we could. We'll see you guys next time for
Like,
another episode
share.
of Let's Talk.
Like and comment and share. We're
Yes.
on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, guys.
Yeah.
Send us your comments and please just keep on talking.
Yes. Cheers.